What's up, everyone? This is Shenj. Let's talk about Frost Mage PvP real quick. First, I'm going to show you my gears. Uh, I got the Epic Helm from Tailoring and the neck from the auction house for like 20G something because I think it has really great stats. 8 stamina, 7 intellect, and the green shoulder from auction house too. With 5 stamina and 13 frost spell damage, and the Blood Moon cloak and the chest from RFD. I think this is the pre-bis PvP chest until the tier set from Nomer, and the bracer from Warsong, the staff. So this is from the graveyard, the wand from graveyard, the Dreamweave gloves, and Arathi belts, tier pants, and tier boots. Now you can still use the spider boots. I still believe the spider boots is a little bit better because with the activation for 30% damage reduction, but it's on 10 minutes cooldown, so you might want to like swap out between like a downtime. So you might want to swap out the spider boots for this one. So yeah, because it gives a little bit better stats. Also 2-set bonus gave 100 armor, which is nice for against melee. And the frost ring, the Warsong ring trinket, and the Warsong trinket. So this is pretty much what I came up with pre-biz, half pre-biz, half biz for PvP. Although some of the biz PvP items are still from Nomer, but I think it's really early on in the phase. I don't think a lot of people have access to those gear, so yeah, just basically just want to stack as much stamina as possible. Although it's a DPS meta, I think the stamina has less value in this meta, but still you still want a stamina, right? You don't want to get one shot by other class, so stamina is the key. Let's talk about the room, the talent. So this is pretty. I've tested a lot of different talents before. This is probably the best one I came up with. Everything is pretty much the same. Nothing special here. The only thing is that I changed Winter's Chill to improve Blizzard. Because I think the Winter's Chill is kind of useless in this meta right now, because your main focus, your main spell damage is your Living Flame, right? So you basically want to play around your Living Flame. And the 10% extra crit for frost damage is kind of useless. I mean, for sometimes if you play in duel, you are most likely taking Living Bomb, so this even become more useless. So I would take Improved Blizzard. Improved Blizzard is really useful in BG because Improved Blizzard has the most slow effect. It gives 75%. It slowed a target for 75%. Compared to Frostbow, only 50%. Right. On top of that, with the permafrost, it gives an additional 10% off. So if you can get really good blizzard off on the target, it's unlikely they can get away from your Living Flame. So it works really well with your Living Flame. Also, the hit rate for blizzard, really work nice with Fingers of Frost. If you can, get a big blizzard on multiple target, it's very easy to proc Fingers of Frost. That's probably the most mana efficient way to deal damage. You can follow up by a Frostbow and Ice Lance combo, do very big damage, big burst. Sometimes you can even one-shot the target, so and very mana efficient. And it provides a lot of CC, a lot of slow. So in a group fight, in a BG, I'll definitely take Improved Blizzard. A lot of people, I don't see a lot of people using Improved Blizzard, but I think it's very, very strong in BG. Very, very mana efficient, because of the Fingers of Frost proc, right? You also can work in duel, right? If you play against like a priest, a warlock, maybe not a druid, you can get a really good blizzard off, they would have really hard time to, get away from the slow, right? Which means they're gonna sit in the living flame. Uh, I think it's really strong. Yeah, it's really compatible with living flame and fingers of frost. So yes, in BG definitely take that. In duel, you might want to swap something else, but I can't see any better option. I mean, you can put 3 points in piercing eyes for a little bit more frost damage. But like I said, in this meta right now, you want to play around a living flame, right? So, I mean, frost damage is not gonna help that much. Plus, it's a dot damage, right? It's not gonna benefit much from spell damage, spell power. So, uh, yeah, or you can just put 2 points in frost warding to help you with the burst from like rogue and stuff. But yeah, you can either put 3 points in blizzard or piercing eyes or the frost warding. Yeah, I'll just ignore the winter's chill. Don't ever put improved Cone of Cold. Cone of Cold is a trash spell right now, at least for this phase. It costs 290 mana. It only does around like what 200 damage, maybe 350 for the crit. So it's very inefficient for the mana cost. I would definitely not use the Cone of Cold unless you want to like slow the target when you play against melee. Uh, for example, like a rogue warrior, you want to like rank 1 Cone of Cold. But other than that, don't ever invest your points in Cone of Cold. It's a really low rank, low damage spell, costs a lot of mana. Yeah, that's basically for talent. Alright, next up, let's take a look at the rooms. The rooms, so for waist, legs, and the feet, I think they are pretty stable. I don't think you want to change much. The Lemon Flame, of course, you definitely want to take Lemon Flame. Like I said, this is the bread and butter for Mage. The only exception is probably for the room swap. We know that Mage can, reset with the sheep, so you can you can have another pair of legs in the back with the icy vein. So you want to use the icy vein first to get fast sheep off, and then when you are out of combat, you want to swap back your living flame. That's a play maybe against like a rogue, so you are 100% sure you want to get the opener. If you can't get the opener, that's pretty much GG. So since you don't have the access to living flame, right? That's the only strategy. That's the strategy you want to use. Is that if you want to get the opener with the sheep. If you can't get the opener, if you can't get the sheep off, that's pretty much GG. So that strategy won't work. You're not gonna play with the icy vein. So yeah, but that's the strategy might work. I have been thinking about it. With the icy lanes, with the icy vein star, the sheep. Just give you a little bit faster sheep. Yeah, and then you swap back to living flame. So chronostatic, I don't think you're gonna change that. That's also bread and butter for the mage. I'm gonna talk about the playstyle of the mage a little bit later. Hence has couple of variation. I mean, you can take the ice lens or the living bomb. So for the most part, in duel, you want to take the living bomb, right? Because the current meta, like I said, it's very DPS heavy. You really want that uptime. You want the mana efficient. You want uptime. You don't want to rely on RNG that much. I mean, ice lens really depending on the fingers of frost proc. If you don't get any proc, you're just gonna sit. You're just not gonna do anything, right? You're gonna take damage. So this meta, trading damage is really intense. You're gonna want to, keep your uptime. You want to keep your doing damage while trading health, while sustain. Because Mage, like I said, Mage has healing right now pretty strong, mana efficient healing. So trading is not a big problem for Mage. Before that, Mage really struggle trading with Priest, Warlock, and Druid. Uh, you have to spend a lot of mana to shield. You basically trade your mana for health. But in this meta, you can perfectly trade your health. Because you have the healing. You have a very strong healing. So what you want to do is save all your mana to heal. You have very too strong, spell. Living Flame, the Living Bomb. So that's what I mean by the play style being different from like back in Classic for Mage. Is that back in Classic, Mage really want to do like big burst damage, right? You want to do big bursts. You want to use all your defensive cooldown, to really lock your enemy down with your big burst, with Shatter Burst. But in this meta, since you really don't have any opportunity to do that, right? You don't really have, you can't really do like Nova Shatter combo. So, but you have a really strong spell, which is Living Flame. A lot of people don't really, have this idea like how much Living Flame damage could be. Living Flame can do a lot of damage if you manage to get a target slow and to make sure that they get hit from the Living Flame. The Living Flame is going to do a lot of damage. If you can get a slow on the target, it kind of works like a dot, right? It's 100 damage per tick, according to my current spell power. 100 damage, 100 plus damage per tick, lasts 20 seconds. So it almost does like half, like 1,000 plus damage, right? 1,000 plus damage on the target. I'm fully stacked with PvP gears, so I only have like a 1900 health. If you think about most class, probably have around, like caster class, probably have around, I would say 1700, 1800 HP. I mean, for the melee, for the rogue, for other melee class, probably like around 2000 plus. So yeah, the Lymphonics do a lot of damage, plus the Living Bomb, right? So the way you play Mage right now is you want to play around your second cooldown of Living Flame. Now this is not a very pleasing way to play Mage, and a lot of people don't realize that, but this is the meta right now. You want to play around your second cooldown. So especially when you play against a good player with good gears, you don't want to go all in on the first cooldown of Living Flame. I've seen a lot of Mage go all in on the first cooldown of Living Flame. This is not the best way to play if you play in a very serious match or playing whatever. You want to utilize the full potential of the Mage right now, because I think Mage in dueling right now is very strong. You want to utilize the full potential of the Mage, which is use your most mana efficient spell in the duel to out-sustain your target, because you have the heal, right? So you want to save your mana for healing, not to do damage, because your Living Flame and the Living Bomb is going to do the job for you, right? Combine the two spells, they only cost like 200 mana, so it's very, very, very mana efficient. If you manage to get your second Living Flame off cooldown, that's gonna be game over for any opponent, any class. They cannot out-sustain the second Living Flame, right? There's just no way to sustain the second Living Flame. So yeah, basically you want to save all your mana to heal, to kite. Make sure you always have your slow on the target. That means spam rank 1 Frostbolt or Blizzard on the target. That's pretty much your playstyle. You spam rank 1 Frostbolt, make sure they take the Flame damage, and then back off, and then heal. Use your block to reset any dots, silence, or to avoid a big damage, big burst like Star Surge or whatever. Because you have 2 blocks, right? You have shield, you have heal. It's really for mage to outlast, outsustain any class in this current phase right now, in this meta. So I don't think, you know, priest is going to outsustain mage. There's no way they can outsustain mage if you play right. I mean, obviously dots does a lot of damage, but so does your living flame. Now we are kind of dive a little bit deeper, you know, into the specific class duel. That's probably for another video. But just in general, this is how you play mage. You want to play, you want to sustain, you want to utilize your mana efficient spell, living flame, living bomb. Don't try to go all in. Don't try to go all in, especially with, for example, like Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion, stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically the playstyle. So if you want to fully like utilize the potential of the mage, if you really want, because I think with the toolkit the mage have right now, I think they are like top 3 class in duel. I think most people don't realize that with how mage can be played in a duel, that the style they play, it's almost like warlock, you know, in classic. It's just basically outsustain you, outlast you, right? Kind of play. That's why warlock was so strong. That's why warlock were so strong back in classic. So I think a lot of people still have this old traditional image of mage, how they want to play the mage. But that's just me, how I find out the way you should play mage right now. Just play to the meta. Yeah, so I think mage are still very strong, very strong in duel, especially in duel, because you have almost all the tool, you know, to succeed. It's almost like a warlock, right? I was kind of theory crafting, like how can you do like a big combo, big damage with Fingers of Frost, stuff like that. But you really don't, right? Dueling all about sustain, all about trading. I mean, who can be the more resource efficient trader, right? Whether it's mana, whether it's HP. But right now, like I said, mage has a really good mana efficient spell, living flame, living bomb, and they have great heal. That's how you should play the game right now. You just play to the meta. That's it for the rooms and talents. Now next, I want to talk a little bit about tips and tricks about mages. Now next, let's talk about a little bit tips and tricks about mage. I think a lot of people have already know, you know, most of the tips and tricks about mage, because the fundamental is still classic, right? Just a little bit about the new skills, the new spells. First, it's Living Flame. So basically, I think a lot of people should know this, that Living Flame breaks Nova, right? So whenever you play against a melee class, you want to make sure that you use your Living Flame first. I mean, you use your Nova first, then you use your Living Flame. Also, the grenade, Living Flame also breaks grenade. That's something you should keep in mind. You don't have to always, you know, use your Nova first, but it really just depend on the situations. If the target gets really close, you really want to make sure you use Nova and build up some distance, and then use your Living Flame. Now that's the first thing you have to remember. And the next one is very important, in my opinion, is the chronostatic. It's the chronostatic preservation. Now this spell counts as a arcane fire and frost, which means if you get kicked, when you cast chronostatic, it locks all your spell, right? Frost, fire, and arcane. So you want to make sure whenever you use chronostatic, you are completely safe from any kicks. You know, whether it's counter spell, silence, or rogue. You want to make sure you're completely safe. You don't want to get kicked on the chronostatic. If you get kicked, it's game over. You know, you can't do anything, right? Yeah, that's one thing you have to keep that in mind. So don't just use your chronostatic blindly, or you are still in danger of getting kicked. So make sure that you are completely safe. Another thing for Quantum is that you can easily, bait out the kick because Quantum count as Arcane Fire and Frost. So whichever spell you use, if you get kick, you can still use Quantum right? Quantum will never get locked. There's no certain school of spell, right? If you get locked in Arcane, you can still use Quantum If you get locked in Fire, you can still use Quantum right? So um, if you really want to like try to heal yourself, for example, if you play against a mage or even rogue, you can really use just any spell, to bait out the kick and then use Quantum to heal yourself, right? Whenever you want to use Quantum you either bait out the kicks, which is really easy to do. Like I said, you can use any spell to bait out a kick, or you are completely safe. So the next one is Fingers of Frost proc. You need to prioritizing your frost damage spell. So if, for example, if you get like Fingers of Frost proc, you accidentally use a fire spell, it'll eat up your Fingers of Frost. Make sure you have the weak aura, and to remind you like when your Fingers of Frost proc. And the next thing is triple proc for Fingers of Frost. So I forgot to mention earlier that for the most part, you want to use Limb Flame against, other classes, but you could use Ice Lance against Druid, because if we think about like Druid as a class, they have a lot of healing. They have a lot of, they like to kite, they like to outrange you, out sustain you. They have a lot of healing, sustain healing. So you want to make sure that you have the slow on the Druid all the time, which means you're gonna spend rank 1 Frostball. So the Living Flame, the Living Bomb is gonna do like delay damage, which is not going to help against a Druid, right? When you play against Druid, you want a big burst damage. So if you spend rank 1 Frostball, that means you have a bigger chance to proc your Fingers of Frost, right? If you get Fingers of Frost proc, you can land a big shatter combo, right? There's nothing Druid can do about the shatter, right? Because back in Classic, they can always break Nova. There's no way. It's really hard for a Frost Mage to land a big shatter, but with Fingers of Frost proc, there is nothing that Druid can do to prevent that from happening, right? You're gonna land the big shatter no matter what. Also, you're gonna spend rank 1 Frostball all the time, so right, you have a bigger chance to proc it. So in order to maximize your Fingers of Frost damage, you need to know like the triple proc. For most of the time, if you land a big shatter, Druid most likely cannot recover from that, right? So the way that you do it is kind of easy. So I'm just going to show you real quick here. Basically, you want to use your Ice Lance first, and then combo with Frostball and Ice Lance. That way you can get like triple shatter proc. Next, I'm going to show you a clip from my duel where I use triple proc. I've been thinking about doing a dueling guide for Frost Mage against specific class. I probably do like one video for each class, but it's kind of hard to, right now it's kind of hard to find people to duel, because most people are just kind of leveling, gearing, and doing BG and events. If you guys interested in any other type of content, PvP related or maybe PvE related, I'm definitely not an expert on PvE. I'm not a PvE person. I find most joy in PvP, so I'm really down to try new things, make different content for you guys. Yeah, thanks for watching.